Today we're going to talk a bit about retail reality, the reality of retail, and how understanding that helps you create the dynamics to influence shoppers. I'd like you to, if you would, think about yourself personally. And we go to work Monday to Friday, and we put on our work suit. And then along comes the weekend, and on Saturday we get up. And invariably, there's the list. And part of that list takes us shopping. So if you think about yourself as the Saturday person instead of the Thursday work person, I think this retail reality that I'm going to talk about is going to be very familiar to you. You're going to see yourself on these slides in this information, and you're going to say, that's so true. And if we just remember that we're shoppers at heart, we run families, we run houses, then all of a sudden this reality can influence our work. And we'll know how to work with those shoppers out there that we're trying to influence. First, a quick introduction to our company. 28 years this week, and it's all about understanding shoppers, understanding shopping life. And if you think about yourself and your family and your neighbors and your relatives and how they shop, then you'll be able to intercept them and impact them with your technology. Our foundation is pretty simple, and we've been doing it for a long time. We make sure we study shoppers. We're continuously interviewing shoppers, about 2,000 shoppers every 3 months throughout the year, and asking them questions about things we see coming in the future to see if we're right or if the numbers are changing. We stay very connected to influential retailers. We have good relationships with them. We talk future with them. We talk about what's keeping them up at night, what they know has to change in their business if they're going to continue to compete in a universe of shopping that changes so much every 3, 6, 12 months. And then we continuously search the world for innovation. And when we find that innovation, it's not so much about the innovation, it's about saying, okay, how quickly will that get to our stores locally, to our retailers, and how can they use it to interact with shoppers? So that's what we do. We are a little unusual in the sense that we don't look at a particular channel or chain or category. We study everywhere the shopper shops to understand the competition, because the competition for CVS is not Walgreens. For Nordstrom's, it's not Saks. The competition is e-commerce, new retailers that are coming up, the willingness of the affluent to shop in the value channel, and of the low-income shopper to aspire to shop more in department stores. So shoppers shop everywhere. They shop all these categories. We're interested in the share of wallet when bad times hit or at the end of the pay cycle. What do people prioritize? Do they say, okay, I really don't need Pantene, Suave will be okay this week because I'm not going to cut back my cell phone plan, I'm not going to cut back my cable TV, I may take my prescription medication every other day instead of every day, but what will I cut back in order to get by? We deliver syndicated research in lots of reports, and that's what I'll be presenting some of that to you today. And we consult with our clients to help them say, how do I take this information about where the shoppers and the retailers are going next and use it to manage my business and make sure that my business is where the shoppers and the retailers are 3 years from now. So we'll start today with some trends to watch, and goodness knows the trends change probably every couple of weeks. Right now, the trend in retail is not building more stores, it's going small, and it's going bricks. We see Walmart consolidating all its experimental formats under its successful banner, Neighborhood Market. They have about 400 neighborhood markets now. Target certainly joining the small format with Target Express. And Amazon and all the buzz and the reasons about why would Amazon want those Radio Shack locations. And how you probably have a good insight to that and to see where it goes next. Security? No. Recovery? Yes. How quickly we've said, okay, nothing's secure. Our data's not secure. 10 months ago, Target was on the rails because of the break-in into their database. Greg Steinhoffel lost his job over it. Along comes the Home Depot data breach, which is even bigger than Target's. It's no fuss, no headlines. J.P. Morgan announces one just a couple of weeks ago that happened back in August. I haven't seen one headline that says, "Why didn't you tell us sooner?" You must take responsibility for it. We very quickly become accepting of our data and our information isn't so secure, but you better have something in place to help me recover. And of course, the thing that has us all concerned is that retail sales just are not growing. They are just flat, 1-2% growth. We get a lot of press calls, and when the press gets excited about 1 or 2%, you have to say to yourself, geez, there's not much going on out there. 1 to 2% is not a lot. Confidence improves, the economy gets stronger, but shoppers pause, and that's what we're going to talk about next. The good news is all the turmoil we've lived through for the last 5 or 6 years, it's settling down. It really is. You talk to shoppers, the economy is what it is. They don't have great expectations for it. They know what their financial status is, they know what they can do, they know what they can't do. They've created boundaries for their shopping life, and they're living with it. The internet has cemented its role, and if it's going to be part of our lives. We want it to be part of our lives. It creates not only convenience, but transparency, helps us get the best prices. It's here to stay, and the question is, how fast can all of you help us use it more efficiently? Digital marketing, great news for brands and retailers, and you know that more than I do, certainly. And bricks retailers coming to understand just in the last 3 or 4 years that they can't compete on price or convenience or opening more stores or opening bigger stores. They've got to compete on a connection, and they get it. And you're certainly helping them do that because the retailers and the shoppers are moving on. They've got new aspirations. They have different choices, different dreams. Today we're going to talk about the delicate balancing act that they're doing, the shoppers, in order to get by, how she gets what she wants. And I am going to talk a lot about the women's shopper, and I apologize. I am a women's advocate, but when it comes to shopping, men are very much in the shopping world. But when it comes to retailers, what they're always looking at is what's mom buying? What are those single women buying? So we're going to focus on the women in our surveys today. We're going to talk about how smart shopping is redefining the opportunity for loyalty, where we didn't think that word existed a while ago. And we're going to talk about marketing in the year you are in. And we're going to do all that in 41 minutes and 34 seconds, because I have this clock here that keeps telling me how much time I have. Okay. Today we are going to, everything I'm telling you is coming out of these 3 reports which we've published in the last, within the last year. The Wellness Uprising, and I'm not going to talk about any of them, but we can talk about that over lunch. There is a huge uprising in where wellness is going, and it's very scary for traditional retailers and OTC and RX categories. The whole switch-swap trade, which started out as our new path to purchase study, and as I was wrestling with it, I said, you know what, guys, there is no path to purchase. It's all about switching and swapping and trading, and there's no straight path anymore. And we're going to talk about the American dream, which we went out, after all we've been through in the last 5 years in the economy and our personal finances. Do people still have American dreams anymore? And why should you care about what the American dream is? What does that have to do with your work? Well, you should care because all these folks care. They care a lot, and they access their American dream, a lot of it, through aspiring up, trading up, and shopping and surrounding them with the things that make them feel, I've made it. The delicate balancing act that everyone's wrestling with. We asked people a simple question. Can you afford to pay for the basics? Maybe you can't afford to pay for the basics. Or are you someone who says, yeah, I've got the basics covered, and I can even save a bit? The country is clearly divided between those, the 52%, who say, I can barely afford the basics and not even that, or I can afford the basics and more. And we hear a lot about the big divide in income. We see it here, and this hasn't changed in 2 years, because we test this question every couple of years. And in spite of the economic improvement, it hasn't changed. The attitude towards paying their debt, 58% say, I can keep up with my debt. 42% say, I have a real hard time keeping up with my payments. That's a lot of people. And when you think about the competition for all that stuff on the shelf, that debt is in their background. In spite of it, many dream about a better tomorrow. And here's what that dream looks like. Certainly at the top of the list, 89% of people say, I want to own my first home. And 89% have either achieved that or they know it's on the horizon. They're going to get there really quick. What totally startled us is the number 2 American dream is to pay down my debt. And when you think about flat retail sales, Walmart struggling with trips, Costco seeing its spectacular growth dwindle down to 3 and 4%, it's about this consciousness that people have now paying down their debt. They want to eat out once a week, and that's sort of if I can go out to the local pizza place or Applebee's or even one of the nice restaurants in New York City, if I can do that once a week, I'm okay. I can take the family out to eat. It's a sign of I'm living the American dream. Move to a better neighborhood, buy a better car. All of these are right up there, but only if I can do those things without incurring more debt. That doesn't mean she doesn't get what she wants, and that's the big difference. You have given her and him all the tools, and half of people say, I get what I want, and I get it at prices I can afford to pay. I know how to do that. I'm not feeling negative. I'm not feeling put down. I'm not scared the way I was 5 years ago because I've figured it out. And how she gets what she wants, she's got some pretty simple formulas. First of all, she will buy everything, anywhere. We talk about channels. I think Albert said, channels. What channels? In the shopper's mind, there's places to get what I want at the prices I can afford. And while retailers have been downsizing, closing stores, women have been increasing the number of places they shop in 3 months. This is the average number of channels, in industry speak, that women have been in the last 3 months, up from 8.2 4 years ago to 9.7. That's a pretty powerful increase in 3 months. And if you sit down and think about list the places you've been to shop in the last 3 months, it doesn't take long for you to get up to 8, 9, or 10. Where is she shopping? Still at the top, the mass merchandisers, the supermarkets, the drugstores, but this is channels people have been in the last 3 months to buy something. They're flat. The value channel is where we're seeing growth. And if we're seeing stores being built anywhere, it's Aldi, Family Dollar, Dollar General, Dollar Tree. Dollar stores up 8 points in 4 years to 60%, 59% of people in a dollar store in the last 3 months, and 24% of them in an Aldi or a Save-A-Lot. Have any of you shopped in an Aldi or a Save-A-Lot? Yeah. Pretty terrific. And a way to get what she wants. And that's an 11-point growth in a channel that really doesn't even have a lot of stores. They're very much where dollar stores were 10 years ago. Aldi is just going to take over America. The big three are holding on. Clubs are declining in terms of the percent of people. And if you, again, think about yourself, think about your circle of friends, how many people have said, I just don't need to go to Costco every week. I dropped $300, and what did I get? Did we need that big bag of chips again? Did I really need that? Have you noticed the grills in Costco are getting smaller? It used to be like it could fill a room, the outdoor grill. They're getting smaller. The affluent who love the clubs are rethinking, do they have to be there as often? And the startling thing, of course, the internet up 18 points in 4 years. Okay, we know the internet's growing, no surprise. But it now ties drugstores for the number 3 spot where women shop in 3 months. And it's number 2 among men. puts it in a bit of perspective for us. This is the percentage of shoppers, Walmart shoppers, who say they shop Walmart.com, or Target shoppers who say they shop Target.com. This is what is keeping Walmart and Target and the chain drug executives up at night, that they're not getting these shoppers. The person who's so comfortable being in their store, carrying their loyalty card, when that shopper decides to buy shampoo, nail polish remover, diapers online, goes to Amazon. And that's the Amazon growth. And they are right to have that keeping them up at night. Whether they buy an internet brand, they're always going to be competing with Amazon and losing share of shoppers to it. What cements this, of course, is that now the number one reason for shopping online, 2/3 of women say, it saves me time. It used to be about the selection. It used to be about finding the best price. Those are still important. Half of shoppers say that's why I shop online. But the reason she will never go back is for 2/3 of them, it saves them time. And we all know that is priceless. Not only will she shop everywhere, but she will swap brands. And try saying switch, swap, trade. She will swap brands. And when the American dream was to have my Tide, my Crest, my Pantene, L'Oreal, all of a sudden we're in an era where she's saying, there are 2 or 3 brands that are good enough. And this is a lasting fallout of the recession. When people stopped saying, I'll pay an extra $1.50 for that Pantene that's going to deliver this, or for that allergy pill that will last 24 hours and is in a special colorful capsule, you know what? 12 hours is enough. I'll save the $3 and get the 12-hour version. I'll get regular Pantene at $5 instead of $8.50. Or all those overlooked brands on the shelf. Suave, St. Elsewhere, the Stores brand. All of a sudden she tried them and said, you know what? They're good enough. I'm not going to trade up. That's not where I'm spending my money. We looked at the categories where there is a commitment to always buy the same brand loyalty. The green line's the 50% mark. Of course, not surprising to us, perhaps to you, the number one category for brand loyalty that goes over the 50% mark is pet food. And I have to tell you, in every study we do, pets come up as that's where people are increasing their spending most. That's where they will stick with the brand that costs more. It's all about the dog. The kids can eat the store brand Cheerios. I can feed my husband the store brand something, but the dog, the cat, has to have the best. And it comes up over and over again. Beyond the pet category and what that says about us and our American dreams, look at this list of categories. Breakfast food on the bottom, and we studied about 29 categories. I was kind and only gave you a few. Look at breakfast food. Less than a quarter of people say, I have to have this brand of cereal. So when they go to the shelf, it's okay, whichever one's on sale. And it doesn't get much better. For pain relievers or baby personal cares about the 30% mark. Cosmetics is only about the 30% mark. There's this definite mindset that when I go to shop, I'll buy whichever ones that's on sale, because invariably, one of the 3 brands that I think is okay will be on sale. I'll switch chains. I love talking with so many of you because you're giving me the why behind the wow that I'm experiencing with retailers who suddenly connect with me, who aren't trying to give me a coupon for a product that I don't want. They're actually enticing me to come back and buy more of the things I do want. And what a wonderful response to this mindset for most shoppers now, which is, I'll go anywhere. You saw the 9.7 channels she's been in. The chains don't get much better. Again, the number one chain for which people say, I buy this brand and I buy it in this store consistently, pets. But all of the categories below the 50% mark in terms of people saying, this is my go-to store for my hair care, for my pain relievers, for my breakfast cereal, for my pet food, all below the 50% mark. And then enter the pre-shop. And this is where the picture starts to get really encouraging, because it's here in this pre-shop that folks are starting to reconnect to brands and retailers. And the power of what you do starts to really come in here. And when we take this to our clients, who are most of the big CPG companies and the retailers who work for them, they're startled. They think about pre-shop in terms of electronics and durable goods. And we bring them the solid information that says, no, 30% of people who have to go out and buy an antacid or something to control reflux will look through to get information to find out where they want to go to buy it and to decide what brand they're going to buy. And that decision right now is pretty much based on price, which is why 2 or 3 brands are good enough. 30% of them are pre-shopping basic things like vitamins, men's grooming, hand and body, core CPG categories. 20% of them are pre-shopping oral care, what toothpaste, what mouthwash. I mean, all of these categories, price points have gotten to the point in share of wallet where people say, I want to find it on sale. $9.99 for my Listerine whitening. I want to see who has it for $7.99. So shoppers deciding it's worth the pre-shop. The great thing about the pre-shop is that if you can intercept the shopper before she gets to the store, the third who are now consistently pre-shopping CPG, when they get to the store, 90% of them don't change their mind. They're not influenced by what's in the store. They've done their homework, and just by doing that homework, they feel good about themselves. They're confident that they're making the right choices, and when they get to the store, that's what they buy. So clearly that moment of truth that A.G. Lafley so brilliantly coined about 10 years ago now no longer exists at the shelf. The moment of truth, that zero moment of truth, happens before the shelf and the in-store environment is becoming less and less powerful. So the retail reality that you think about yourself as a shopper and as you develop programs to help your retailers and brands is there are so many places to shop in every town, and those red dots are all the stores just up and down the street here in Fort Lauderdale where you can buy groceries. And everywhere is pretty much okay. There are so many good brands on the shelf. They're all pretty much alike in the minds of the shopper. The emotional connection to the brand has really been decimated because any 2 or 3 brands will do. And the moment of truth now is shifting and will continue to shift to the pre-shop. So that's the scenario that you enter. And what terrific things you are bringing to retailers and to brands. In our work, we see retailers becoming more responsive to the innovations that you offer than brands are. And I'd love somebody to prove me wrong, because when we stand up in front of our manufacturer clients, I say to my folks, guys, we need brand examples. These are all retail examples. And I'll show you some of them. And they'll say, we can't find much about brand using terrific tools to connect to shopper. Because smart shopping and connecting in a world that is ruled by get me the lowest price, how can I get it most conveniently, and 2 or 3 things are good enough, a brand person, a retailer sits back and says, where's the win in that? There's no win in price and convenience and good enough. 360-degree marketing is where the win is. And that's what you're delivering. Developing more of a connection with a shopper where she or he says, you know, I can always count on them. I get information from them before I shop, in my pre-shop. When they're in the store, they deliver what they're telling me in the information I get in the pre-shop. And then I'm often connected to them after I'm shopping. So it's that, I think you call it omni-connection. We've been calling it 360 marketing. I'll probably have to update my vernacular after I leave here. But there's no question that digital can empower the retail relationship, certainly. And one of our visionary, futuristic things for our clients, CPG clients and fashion clients to think about, is retailers are smarter, much, much smarter. And in many cases, they're a lot more agile and flexible than brand marketers. They're taking their loyalty card base and they are just running everywhere with it. And not only are they smart enough to see the opportunities, they're executing very, very well. All these things that CVS is doing to connect to shoppers, and if you've been on, anybody been on the CVS website or have a CVS shopper card? The value is going online and picking your deals, and they too have said, we have a long list of deals this week, pick the 10 that you want and they're yours. The vitamin center, no one can ever figure out what vitamins to buy. Instead of standing at the shelf trying to read the type that you can't even read, go online before you're in the store and check out the vitamins, read the reviews, and CVS offers the vitamin center where you can do that. The coupon center in the store, anyone taken their CVS Extra Care card and swiped it in that coupon center? It prints out a toilet paper roll of coupons of things that you buy. And I had my daughter's card one day and I said, oh my God, look at this, it just keeps coming out. And they're coupons that you value because they're brands that you buy. The well done, this was just brilliant. You talk about the post connection. Our Vice President of Research, Amy, came in December. She said, you will not believe what I just got from CVS. They sent me a 12-month summary of how much money I had saved, how much money I had saved in each category, and told me I was in the top 8% of CVS shoppers in terms of saving money. And she said, I'm going to get in the top 5 by next year. It was like, what a powerful tool. So the pre, the post, and certainly while you're in the store shopping. Sephora, totally masters of it. I feel so good that we now have other retailers to put up here besides Sephora, because for a long time they were the only ones that were taking full advantage of that Beauty Insider card and technology and using it everywhere. Certainly before you shop, I have blue eyes. All I have to do is put on blue eyes, and they just create a circle of things that are for blue eyes only. Makes the shopping in the store or on the site so much simpler. Acknowledging that using technology in the store is just as important as on the site. And if you've ever gone to the fragrance wall at Sephora, there's hundreds of choices. And the fragrance, find your fragrance in the store is a quick 4 or 5 question Q&A that you do on this machine, and all of a sudden it narrows your choices from hundreds to 10. Much more manageable, and encourages you to make that choice. You don't stand a chance with all the hundreds. You'd never know what to buy, but among the 10 you can. And using technology in the store to continually help shoppers make better choices with skincare, with eye care. Has anyone been to the Sephora in the Meatpacking District in New York? That's sort of where they put in all the new technology that they're testing. So it's a great exploration. The personalized, sending you your birthday message. Not only do they have the Beauty Insider Club, where you can feed your obsession to experience new beauty, but they have the VIB, the very important beauty club members, and they've launched VIB Rouge, which is the top of the line, the view from the top in beauty. So they keep doing what Amy in our office responded to, make it competitive, and people will compete to get the better card. And that means they spend more with you. Digital certainly personalizes the journey. And I was talking with Bob Jewell, I believe, at breakfast. And it's so much fun for me to come here and understand how you make these things happen for me. Because I'm just experiencing them and loving them and having the wow every couple of months when something new's added to my personalized shopping journey. But the Gap, how do you fill a cart? Shoppers know I put things in my cart, and then I go away for a couple of days. And the offer on the site, which had been 30% off, if I leave it in the cart for a couple of days, I'll get an offer to take another $10 off. So why rush? We did a focus groups with millennials to understand how they're using all the technology to shop, and this startled me. I mean, they know the whole thing. Just leave it there, you'll get an offer. And then because Gap knows me, they suggest 4 or 5 complimentary things to build the bag at 25% off. How does Gap win share of shopper? In a world where they've been really struggling, they're doing this very effectively. Rite Aid, valuing differences. You can only give away so much money before, your profit line starts to squeak. There's another way, and that's to connect with people based on something that's very important to them. And at Rite Aid, it's valuing differences, whether that's diabetes or needing a different approach to wellness once you pass 65. But all of these personalizations are what are helping to move that moment of truth from the shelf to the pre-shop. And those of you who might have millennials in your life, Target it's going to own them. They've been laser focused on that group, Future Moms of America, and the millennials love the cartwheel. Do you know what cartwheel is? You must know that, right? And how, you keep sending invitations to your friends to join Cartwheel, and then you can get more and more offers every week. I think my daughter's up to about 20 offers that she can get. Every Sunday, a group of them go off and shop at Target with their Cartwheel right on their phone. Loblaws, the power of the pre-shop. They know from the card what people buy in the food category, and you can sign up for the app that will send you recommendations on what to make for dinner tonight based on the kinds of foods that you buy. Not trying to trade you from the Italian that your family loves to Thai fusion, which they'll leave on the plates, but saying, okay, your family likes Italian food, and here's all the meals you can make. And so when you get into the store, it's simple. You know exactly what ingredients you need, and you've got your meal, making it very convenient. The power will be for digital to drive brand commitment. And I said we struggle finding examples of brands that do the 360 marketing. Lots of brands that do terrific one-off promotions. But L'Oreal has created an interaction with their shoppers that says, what are your beauty picks? And those of us who buy cosmetics and skincare know invariably you're in love with a particular shade, you go to the store, and it's been discontinued. So L'Oreal's figured out how to use the pre-shop and the beauty picks to say, now don't be disappointed. We did away with this gray, but now there's this gray, and it'll be perfect for what you want. And it'll just take you to the next level of what trendy and edgy and what looking good is. So they speak to you in the message, but they make sure that they're always reinforcing why you want to stay in the L'Oreal franchise and not be one of those folks who says, 70% of women saying, there's lots of beauty brands that are good enough. L'Oreal's doing it very effectively. Sherwin-Williams. We all know how hard it is to find the right color for the room. And you do see it on a cookie, or you see it anywhere. You see it in a restaurant. You see it on somebody's jacket in the subway, and you just snap the picture, and Sherwin-Williams is now connected to you because they'll get your color. Digital enables more, better, faster relationships with shoppers. There's no question about it, and it's going to be very powerful. It is already powerful. Basically, what this chart's telling us is the high numbers in the light green, that's the percentage of people who shop a chain or a category digitally, who pre-shop and are connected digitally. And they stay with a retailer in personal care. 55% who are digitally connected to a retailer stick with that retailer to buy. Those who aren't digitally connected, only 41% stick with that retailer. So it's a small gap, but 10, 12 points in this era when every shopper counts is very important, and it definitely sets the pattern that says, retailer, if you can get people to digitally connect to you, you stand a better chance of being a destination for a category. And then, of course, remembering that number for brands, that if you stay connected to folks in the pre-shop, they won't leave you and go off to the brand that's cheaper on the shelf if they've done their pre-shopping. So the last thing I'd like to talk about is, you know all of that power of digital, certainly, as well as I do. Our job in working for you is to help our clients understand that it really is powerful. It's not just about the new toy. It's not just about the new innovation. But what we also remind our clients of is everything that you are offering them is so exciting and so visionary. They want to be part of the future. They don't want to be left behind. They want to jump in and do it. And we then remind them, you've got to market in the year that you're in. And yes, there is a massive emphasis on market to me. It's all about me. Customize it, personalize it, tailor it, make it for me. Make your store the best so that I say, yeah, I'm actually only shopping at Wegmans, or I'm only going to Harris Teeter because they've connected to me. And yeah, I know it sort of breaks the price rule, but they've created something else that's important, a convenience and an efficiency that I want. Make your brand the best. And you can do that through the digital relationship. Drive the pre-shop. That's where loyalty is coming from. The word loyalty, we didn't even think it existed anymore, but it's going to come back by using the pre-shop. But we are getting to the year that you're in. We have to remember the bifurcation. And I had to print that out phonetically because I can never remember how to say it. People throw it around, certainly, about the divide in income in our country, the bifurcation. But there's also a major bifurcation in terms of trade marketing. This is from our most recent study, and it shows the percentage of people who, what is a pre-shop? For 25%, it's paper, coupons, circulars, the traditional stuff that you get in the Sunday paper. For 18%, it's digital. It's getting alerts on my phone, it's checking the reviews, it's having the retailer's app. What's fascinating is that millennials are as embedded in the traditional pre-shop as they are in the digital. So we're starting to see the acceptance of digital as having less to do with age. Certainly millennials are there a bit first, but it has more to do with mindset. We see Gen X equally divided between the traditional coupons in the Sunday paper and circulars in the store versus digital. And boomers are the ones that are clearly more in the traditional camp. But what it says to us is that for right now, we very much have to be delivering promotions and connecting with shoppers in both ways. There are 305 billion coupons circulated in a year. And yes, I know the number of paper coupons is down, something like 17%, but there's still 305 billion out there. It's a pretty powerful tool. And almost 3 billion are redeemed in a year. And out of all the coupons redeemed, less than 8% of them are digital. So we very much have to live in both paper world, traditional world, as well as the digital world for the next quite a while, until the iGen folks grow up. The retailers and the brands are getting this. And that's when I said at the beginning that the retailers are acknowledging, they understand the world they're living in now, and they're stepping up the plate because they know what they have to do to compete, and most of them are in brick stores, and most of their shoppers are still in the brick stores, and most of their sales are going through the brick stores. So Claritin certainly has the app that connects with allergy sufferers who love to be connected to, because nobody feels sorry for allergy sufferers. You know, they're just messy and sloppy, and they sniffle and cough. And if you get pneumonia or the flu, people feel sorry for you. If you have an allergy, it's, oh, could you please stop that? So Claritin says, I care for you. I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to be attentive to you. They do that with their app. Starbucks, which we think of as being so visionary, so futuristic, knows it's all about smelling the coffee. And while their shops where you go in to buy your latte or your coffee are down in trips, the power of the store to sell Starbucks for you to make it at home is where their growth is. And you can smell the coffee in the aisle at Safeway. They're using technology to make sure that you can smell Starbucks when you walk down the aisles in Safeway. Bricks and clicks coexist. This was a sign in the New York City subway, say no to drugstores. Soap.com is becoming more and more aggressive about, you're headed home tonight on this subway train, you really don't want to stop in the drugstore. And now they're just saying, say no to drugstores, order it all online. At the same time, Blue Cross Blue Shield is opening brick storefronts. This is Capital Blue, I think that's down here in Florida. Opening brick storefronts to bring people in to talk about wellness, to teach them about wellness, to show them how to save on their health insurance. So they're living in the bricks world, in the industry that had been traditionally virtual. The Honest Company, anyone heard of the Honest Company? They are doing a number on the diaper and the baby care market. Just taking more and more shoppers, a premium-priced, eco-friendly brand, and even among frugal millennial moms, they're signing on for Honest, and they're signing on for the subscription that automatically delivers your wipes and diapers to you every month, taking that category out of the store. And over in the UK, Kitty Care says there's no better way to connect with parents than to sit down with them in the store, in a center we call Very Important Baby, VIB, and help people decide what to buy. So it's very much a bifurcation world. A store like ShopRite, a cooperative supermarket chain, primarily in the Jersey area, was really a pretty unpleasant store to shop in. People went there because it was lowest price. And ShopRite knew they were not going to win long term, being the lowest price retailer. And they are reinventing their stores. The one on Morristown Road, I think it is. Have you been in it, yep. Albert? It is sensational. I don't know if the oyster bar will last. You can sit at the bar and have oysters. I don't know if that's going to last in the supermarket. But certainly the wellness center with the dietitian and being a go-to place to have yoga in the morning, that's going to create a whole new reconnection to what was a pretty price-driven chain, ShopRite. Wegmans, recognizing that they have a reputation for being premium priced. They are, if you don't buy their particular brands. But Wegmans says, we're just going to exceed shoppers' expectations everywhere we touch them. And it starts in the parking lot, where they have this sign on the cart rack that reminds you to take in your reusable grocery bags. You know, one less disappointment when you get into the store and say, oh, I left the bags in the car. And we never go back for them, you know. But reminding you. And then saying, we know you want price transparency. And some of you don't do digital. Most of you don't look on your phone when you're in this store, but we're going to do it for you. And here's the price comparison for everything from bananas to baby cut carrots. And we'll tell you what it's like in our competitors in this Boston market, Star Market, and Stop and Shop. Delivering the transparency you expect right at the door. HEB in the Southwest saying we have a population that knows they need to get more fit, that knows they need to eat better. And we're going to help them do that, because a lot of it is them thinking, I can't afford to eat healthy. And we're going to make it affordable for them with fit foods singled out in the store at prices that convince their population, their shopping population, that you can afford to eat healthy. Urban Outfitters, knowing millennials buy lots of stuff online, but if I create an interesting space, this is in Brooklyn, a rooftop that they can also come and socialize and meet and greet, I'll certainly be able to capture them. So in closing, the digital certainly is important. It's making such inroads in bringing back loyalty. But the truth of it is, it's these little kids who are growing up with a tablet, an electronic device in their hands. And it's about 4 more years before they get to full shopping age. And so that iGen really seriously goes shopping 4 and 10 and 15 years from now, that we will be in a digital shopping world. But right now we're living in both worlds. That's the retail reality. Okay, thank you.